They say all good stories begin with a dead man. That's the phrase, isn't it? Every good show begins with a death and ends with a marriage. It's how the great dramatist Offhacker put it, or at least the people who confidently misquote him, and there really isn't a worthy distinction between the two. No one has died yet, at least not in Astor's sight line, though she can barely see past her own false lashes. The broad amber windows of the judicial palace trap steam like a greenhouse, and the civilian gallery is swollen with bodies. Ladies fan themselves with ginkgo leaves, diffusing their pheromonal perfumes while their dates wipe fog from opera glasses. As the accused is brought before the tribunal, panting under a hood heavy with sweat, the high magistrate lifts his gavel to scratch at a glistening age spot. Even the floor has begun to perspire, oozing dewdrops from the marble loop of the BGS company's sigil. If nothing else, someone will die of heat stroke.
I think that's you right now, Aisha, because you're in a warm
God.
place.
Yeah, I am dying. They've got me in the theater. They're putting weird perfume in my neck and armpits and dick and balls or whatever. They put
Yeah,
their perfume in this book.
that's what we're all about here.
What do they know? What does mean? How are the union and the socialist be? Everything I can need, oh I need, oh I need, oh I need, oh the what does mean? Oh what does mean? Oh what does mean? Oh what does mean? Oh.
Welcome back to Workers Lit, your favorite podcast that is constantly decaying and blooming and decaying and blooming again.
That's so
I'm
real.
Aisha. I'm here with Jacob, and how are you guys doing?
I'm so solid. I just found this strange bug in my apartment. I just like let it bite me. I'm pretty sure it's gonna lead to good effects. I'm feeling
Yeah.
powerful. I'm feeling like my heart isn't beating anymore, but that's fine. I'm gonna keep living. And like now, that I got strings coming out of me. So honestly, like it's been a pretty good day so far.
And we've got a great guest with us this week. Guest, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi. I am Maria Ingrande Mora. My pronouns are they, them, or she, her, if you're not gendering me properly and I don't feel like arguing with you. I write queer fiction for mostly teens, also sometimes for adults. My latest book, Wild Radiance, came out in January of this year, and it's about kind of unethically using magic as a energy source to benefit the ruling class and then killing a bunch of crusty old white guys.
Mm.
And also
We really frown on that here. We really we hate killing crusty old white guys. Do not Elon Musk, do not quote retweet me.
I you can quote tweet me, Elon. That's fine. I think yeah, the method of just trying to cancel somebody and then making them more popular than ever, that seems to be the move recently.
Yeah.
The Musk bump could be a thing from this book. And this book is Works of Vermin. And we're super excited about it. This was your recommendation, Maria. Tell us, what made you recommend this book? I mean, I think I know because it rules. But tell us how you came to find this, your experience with it, and why you thought it might be a good conversation.
my friend Lee Mandello recommended it, and I pretty much read
Friend
what
of the
Lee
pod.
says. Friend of the pod, Lee. And I think that he said something about it being horny. That was one of the words, but like a few other words, but honestly not much else. And I picked up the audiobook. Um, and it was such a fucking fever dream just going into it cold. I didn't read the summary. I didn't
That's
know
awesome.
anything. I just turned it on. It's incredible narrator, and it just kind of lulled me into almost, it felt like I was like tripping. I was like, I don't know what's happening, but I love it and I'm going with it. And that's kind of how I've been pitching it to people, is like I'm begging you to read this or listen to it, and maybe just go in cold, have a good time. Um, Unless they're a sicko of a specific kind, and then I'm drawing out some of the sicko shit that I know that they will specifically like, but still with no context whatsoever. And I think that that's what the author would want.
Yeah, listeners, so if you want to go and read the book right now, don't worry, we'll wait for you. We'll be here when you get back.
That's how that
Um,
works.
yeah,
We're going to sit here like silently and patiently, kind of tapping our
yeah,
fingers. Kind of imagine us like looking at you scornfully if you ever put down the book while we're waiting. But yes,
yeah.
yes, absolutely.
I also like listeners, if you've been listening to our back catalog, then I would describe this book as a perfect love child of Melusine, of the Doctrine of Labyrinths, and Dengue Boy. It's like if they had
Mm,
a bastard child.
yeah. And that bastard child was like, hey, use of weapons, look how I can do the thing you tried to do, but better.
Yeah.
That bastard child was just decided to flex on Ian Banks. That's what we're working with here. Had either of y'all or any of y'all read anything by this author, Hiron Ennes, before?
No.
No, and I'm kind of a weenie about bugs. So Leech was a little bit off the table, but to me the bugs in this book are giving like Jurassic Park
Sure.
creatures rather than little tiny creepy crawly bugs, so it didn't gross me out. I think that Leech might gross me out, but no, I haven't read the previous book.
They describe the bugs in like draconic forms in this, yeah.
Yeah, also like this book it's disgusting but in a not really in a buggy way, in like
Yeah.
a
Mm,
goop way.
very much so. Well, I had not experienced this author before either, but now I have, and I've put together a bio on our author. I will say this is once again a living author who is a sort of a contemporary. So, in the same way that we try not to get too invasive with our bios on living people, we're not trying to dig up dirty laundry or anything like that, unless we really hate the person. Shout out to JD Vance. Uh, then we're not whatever. But so I'm just going to give the overview based on some interviews and some publicly available information, things like that. And I'll link the sources for that. Special shout out to the Howl Society, BookWeb, Locust Mag, and of course their website. Hiron Ennes has described themselves as, and I quote, a writer, musician, and mad doctor based on the West Coast. Their area of interest include forensics, infectious disease, and petting your dog. They are queer in every sense of the word. End quote.
I love that.
They want to pet your dog. They say that in every single interview I've read with them. They're like, and if you have a dog, I want to pet it. They're very adamant about that. And they are a doctor, by the way. I'll get into it, but they are actually a doctor. Their day job is they work in a pathologist, I think is how you say it. They do the game Pathologic IRL.
Oh,
That's
nice.
that's their day to day. So I can't place their exact age. I'd guesstimate mid to late 30s from context clues, but they start writing at a young age, very influenced by Diana Wynne Jones as a kid of Howl's Moving Castle, Charmed Life. I am sure we will get to Diana Wynne Jones at some point on the pod.
We gotta.
Uh, they were raised in a conservative Christian school and enjoyed rebelling through banned art, including Pokemon. Those of us
Hell yeah, brother.
those of us who were raised in conservative Christian schools will know Pokemon was one of the forbidden things. I'm not kidding. I had a teacher be like, they have evolution in it. And I'm like, that's not okay,
Oh
whatever.
my god.
There's just
Not
too
even
much to
that they're
unpack
called
there.
pocket monsters.
No, it's evolution and demons. I mean, James Dobson literally like put out a missive in like 2002 that said no one's allowed to play Pokemon, and that was it. Hiram was fascinated with bodies, dead bodies. Their mother tells a story of them as a 5-year-old demanding to stop to inspect roadkill because they'd, quote, never seen the inside before, end quote.
Oh my god.
So they come by this gross shit, honestly. At age 10, they began writing Dune fan fiction on their grandfather's typewriter. They get obsessed with
Let's
Dune.
go.
Good.
And they wrote off and on a lot of works that have never been published and shouldn't be, in their own words. And they get really into fan fiction and early aughts internet. They said they were far too online in the early 2000s and shaped in many ways by that. They said they were also deeply shaped by horror, from Poe to Resident Evil. They cite Resident Evil 2 as a major influence. They cite Silent Hill as a major influence. And then a bunch of classic horror authors as well as gothic horror. They go to school. They go to school for medicine. as I mentioned, in a post-graduation depression slump. They're living in a literature professor's basement, and the literature professor, she says to Hiron, "Hey, you like to write. Maybe you should get back into writing." Just trying to cheer them up, basically. And they write the novel Leech that comes out of that. This is a book that releases in 2022. That this is their debut novel, a book, and it's described as, quote, post-apocalyptic soft sci-fi gothic body horror, end quote. Tamsin Muir, who we've talked about books of on the pod before, described it as Wuthering Heights with worms. So
That rules.
yes. Leech was pretty successful, won the British Fantasy Award in 2023. It was quite well received. And then the book we're talking about today, Works of Vermin, is their second book. It came out in 2025. It is currently, as we speak, a nominee for the Ursula K. Le Guin Prize. It was on the Washington Post 10 Best Sci-Fi Novels of 2025, number of lists like that. I should note, they describe it, Hiron does, as, quote, surrealist anime art deco Alexander Dumas, but about that one pool boy from the Falwell sex scandal, end quote.
Oh my God, that rips. Another really cool person that needs to come on the pod.
Oh, yeah. And when asked their dream project, like if they could do anything with one of their works, they said, I wish I could resurrect Satoshi Kon and make a Vermin anime.
I literally today in the Discord, I was like, I want to see the anime of this book.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote down anime when you were saying early 2000s. I wrote down anime on my notebook here and I underlined it like 4 times. Like I went and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, it's just come up like 4 times. There's a certain aesthetic that I find in like Western speculative literature that you can see woven in there. And it was absolutely present here. And it does make you want to see it animated just in this full fucked up glory.
There's a certain vibe of like, oh yeah, this person definitely read a lot of Trigun.
Yeah. Just looking at someone like you have opinions on which characters in Berserk should fuck, huh?
Yeah.
Well, as I mentioned, they work as a pathologist, and they advocate for post-capitalist healthcare reform. That's something that they're involved in day to day. They're also really into the harp in their free time. They describe themselves as a musician. I don't think they've published any music or anything like that. They just really like it. It's a core part of their identity. They are highly gothic in their focus, as you will come to find. Saying of the genre, and I just had to pull this quote directly, quote, I don't think the 21st century will see the death of the gothic genre. If anything, its themes are becoming more relevant, especially in a world where increasing inequity is only emphasizing the social cruelties often explored in Gothic fiction on a global scale. There's no shortage of heinous power dynamics, vengeful ghosts, or terrible families living insulated, haunted lives, and I doubt there ever will be. The setting may change with the trends in fiction. The spooky house may become a factory or a small planet, or the virtual reality corporate Teams chat that never quite lets you escape. But the heart of Gothic fiction is still beating strong, end quote. Which I think is lovely and very true. I should note too, their website inexplicably says in the bottom corner everywhere, no matter what page you go to, George W. Bush is a war criminal on the bottom left of every page. It doesn't link to anything. It just says it.
Oh my God. Based. Oh, based.
Like there's no link there.
That's giving late 30s. If we're doing forensics on age, I feel like that's giving late 30s to mid 40s even.
Just a reminder, keep that in mind.
And impeccable.
They recently finished a manuscript of another novel set in the world of Vermin. This one about a mad priest trying to help a rich couple conceive using forbidden rituals, and it goes wrong. That's all we know about it.
Sick.
And they are currently working on another book about autopsies on an evil bridge club gone wrong. Finally, their most important writing, a tweet from April 22nd, 2022, that got 1 like and deserved way more, but I will read it now. Quote, I will give a full gallon of my high quality blood for a Sonic the Hedgehog movie with the horrifying abomination of slender Sonic spliced back in. I want to see a beady eyed Knuckles with gigantic human hands. I want Tails to devour a man with a tiny mouth full of child teeth. Anyway, had to share that. I knew our listeners would appreciate it. That's a banger. That only
They're
got one
right.
like.
They're so right.
And that's our
They're so right.
that's our author bio. Hiron, come on the show. We'd love to have you.
Yeah, come on the pod.
Well, with that, we get into this book, and I'm going to tell you right now, listeners, you should be readers because this is a book worth reading. But I will also say, this is going to be a book worth reading whether you know the plot or not. But we are going to get into it. This is going to be very spoiler heavy, as it always is. But this is a very twisty and turny book that has some very cool reveals in it. So this is a great book to be like, whoa, when you're reading it or listening to it for the first time. So just heads up on that. If this is something that you want to read, this is an especially good one to have listened to or read first. Like when I read this first, like I was like, oh, fuck, yeah. And I know you listened to this, Maria. How did this hit you when you were like listening to this for the first time?
It's so dreamy. And
Yeah.
I was trying to picture things. And then I just realized there's no fucking picturing any of this. You just have to let go. And that was my favorite thing about the world building, that you just kind of had to let it lull you and fall into it. Because if you tried to figure out the tree or be like, well, how does the electricity get to wherever? You can't. Even the scale is really fucked up. The scale of the creatures, their sizes, people to them, the tree to the society, all of it. You had to become almost like childlike, I feel like, and let it go. That somebody was just telling you like a cuckoo banana story and you had to roll with it. But it was so lyrical too, the prose, and that can really irritate the shit out of me sometimes if it feels overwrought. And here it didn't. And I don't know how they did that. Like I want to unpack it and break it apart because the pacing is strange and unorthodox and the prose is strange and unorthodox, but it works so well. And yeah, it made me feel like drunk. I mean, I just kept one, and I usually play audiobooks a little faster than one time speed, but I let this narrator cook at one time speed. I was like, whatever you need to do, dude, you can do it. Because he also had a very kind of musical way of speaking that it worked really well. It worked really well with the prose, just the kind of like cadence of it all.
Yeah, I literally so like I kind of feel the same way about Tamsin Muir's prose, like Gideon the Ninth, that it's like it's almost too much. Like it's almost too dense and it's almost too flowery, but the pros are so strong that like it's not, that it's fine, that it works. And like there's other sort of like structural similarities, I think, to Gideon. I think they have the same editor, so maybe that some of that makes sense. But I agree 100%, Maria. Like I at first was trying to like understand how any of this makes sense, and then I was like, you know what? This is opera. I'm just gonna let it
Right.
wash over me.
And I want to say too, Ennis has this quote on world building that I want to read. Quote, I think the most important element of world building is uncertainty. To me, solid world building is anything but solid. Solid world building doesn't mean a magic system with set and comprehensible rules, boring, or a well documented history on which everyone generally agrees. Uninspired. My world building demands ambiguity. Think of all the things we don't know about our own world. History depends on who writes it. Even methods in science are far from objective. The origin of our own existence is informed by equal parts fervor and inference. We continuously struggle to understand our own world, so why would I expect people in a fictional world to understand theirs? End quote. Fucking banger.
That's so good.
I'm gonna say
That is better. That is my love language. I
saying
I
that
am
from now on to everyone. My editor, oh, what's this world building? Well, do we even understand our own world?
yeah.
That's what I'm going to throw back all the time. But I tend to write really vibes-based magic systems, and I love it when somebody who's 10 times better than me does it, and I can point to that and go, they did a vibes-based magic system. So there you go. I mean, I don't want to learn calculus to get through the plot of a book, and I never felt like I had to take a quiz on this. So I was like, I don't think they understand. I don't understand. No one understands, and that's okay. That feels great.
Yeah. I guess we should sort of frame up the story.
There are two major plots lines that this book that will intersect, as books with two plot lines oft do. The first one is the Undercity, uh, because we got class going on, folks, and you can live down in the roots and it sucks, or you can live up further in the tree and it rules. So let's introduce what's in the Undercity. We've got exterminators, Borish and Sons Extermination Company. And you might be like, well, that's okay. That's a pretty normal job. Yeah, but what if the pests were like fucking huge and really scary, though? Think about that way. What if instead of knights slaying dragons, we had dudes who were making minimum wage slaying centipedes the size of dragons? Did you ever think about it that
Yeah.
way?
And
It's
like,
honestly giving Pokemon. I'm like, okay, I see the Pokemon now. I see what you did
Mhm.
with that.
yeah, and then like also just like random things like moths that like make you horny or whatever. Like there's
Yeah.
just like all of these moths that like show up at weddings and then like make the bride and groom cheat on each other. Like all of this just wild shit that they're always dealing with.
I like the idea of like everyone's lying about those moths. Like they're all just doing it.
Yeah. Carousal mice, that's what they are.
So good. Well, and we've got these principal characters that we get towards the beginning. Guy, Dawn, Tyro, Three, several of these characters that'll matter a lot. But most of all is Guy is going to matter. He and his name is short for Guy Lag, which killed me.
Well,
Bro's name is
everybody in this
Gulag.
has like having like following this book is like you just have to let it wash over you because everybody has like 16 names. Like
Mm-hmm.
canonically, everybody has a bunch of different names that they use for different things.
Yeah.
So my man Guy Lag, he's named himself after an opera called Guy Lag and the Dragon.
Bro loves theater. Bro literally
Yeah.
loves theater. And he loves theater. He loves two things. He loves theater and he loves his little sister.
Tiro.
Tiro, who he calls Princeling. And you might be like, that's interesting. Well, keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
And he lives with this other guy, Dawn, a former soldier who got fucked over by the upper class.
Sam,
And they all sleep in a big bed together.
I sleep in a big bed with my sister and my not boyfriend.
It's
He's
so
not
good
my
how it
boyfriend.
sets up things that you're gonna expect from that, though. Like, if you're expecting this to be a normal book, you're almost immediately shipping Dawn and Guy, I think, in a way that you might go, oh, I didn't know this was going to have a romance plot to it. And I think that's one of the brilliant things it does early on, is because you recognize that they have a messed up family dynamic that's bringing in these like kind of incestuous vibes, but it still feels moderately wholesome in a way. And I think that that does such a spectacular job then sort of disappointing and horrifying you in the way that things do go down. And I love that setup. I love that Guylog is like Guy, that it's like you're playing also with these archetypes and then going to just bend them and warp them. Even with Tyro being the like baby sister, like sort of we must protect the innocent baby sister. On paper, like a flat read would be, that's what you would expect, and it's subverted so beautifully to me. Like I think it feels very deliberate that the authors is kind of messing with you and what you think is going to happen early on.
And Guy is terrified of what would happen if he died. And he's got so much debt. And in this world, you literally will get debt tattooed on you, which is quite frustrating to have to deal with, I'd imagine. And he's like, and this is a good quote that kind of sums up his motivations and some of the class politics. It says, quote, he's imagining if he died. And poor Tyro will be livid at his wake. when his thumb name is spoken thrice and the lunar priests dump him or whatever pieces of him can be found into the catoptric, she'll scream and wail and kick. And when it's over, when he joins his fallen coworkers at the bottom of the toxic river, a new hire will inherit his iron vine suit and she will inherit his debts. That image alone motivates him to struggle. He won't let the thought of her ink blackened arms be his last. He won't consider the marks spreading from her wrists, proliferating as she grows, new loans taken on to pay back the last and the last and the last, elbow to shoulder, neck to ankle, until they have to shave her head to make room for more debt, moving to her lips, her tongue, the white of her eyes, the soft beds of her fingernails.
Fuck so hard.
Yeah, like everything in this book, like everything that is metaphorical or that is invisible is physicalized in this book.
Yes, very much
Like
so.
class is physicalized, revolution is physicalized. When there's a new when there is a new regime, the physical world changes around them through like, I mean, like there's a plot contrivance, but it is like the like reality shaping around will.
Mm-hmm. And you have such ordinary words like coworker in there, and hire, that I think play out so well because it feels like you're talking about soldiers and war, and then it's just like my boss, my coworkers. And so
Yeah.
like the mundane nature of like I'm an exterminator, but we're talking about it on this really grand operatic scale. Like, and Guy, when you're filtering through Guy's POV, like he's so dramatic. He's so like unnecessarily dramatic, and I love that you can see how his reality was shaped by being this child working in the theater, blindfolded and like absorbing all these stories and these operas. And I feel like it gives him a lens where he's not he's not the like innocent kind of victim character that you might also think he would be in a flat read, because he's bringing some of his own high drama and shittiness at times like into his
Yeah.
own narrative.
Right. And then we have and specifically also like Guy is also a sex worker. That's like a
Oh yeah,
thing that's very
I think it's very
uh
important to me
very
that's his
personally.
prominent.
side. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's his sort of his side gig.
Yeah, his side hustle is well, there's like the little moment where like the wife and the bishop, like they've all had sex, and then like Guy afterwards they're like eating together, and they pay Guy, and like right before Guy leaves, the wife is like, "Oh, don't forget to like actually do your extermination job because we really do have pests." And it's like just like this sort of like punctuation that it's like reminds him like, yes, you actually are still low class, like we enjoy you, and we even they seem to even respect him, and we
Mhm.
get more of that later. But like it is like, yeah, you are still working class, you still work for us, you are not one of us.
It's more dehumanizing when she says that than when he has to like eat her out as a like arrow ace person that is not even kind of connected in
Mm-hmm.
any way sexually to what he's doing, which
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've read a sex worker that's like strongly ace in this way, and I loved it. It brought such a his like dissociative state was just really fascinating to me in that way, like sex repulsed even, like I would
Yeah.
say. And I thought that was so cool.
He's so
Yeah,
fucking
he's
gay. It's insane. I don't mean gay in the sense of attracted to men. Maybe it's a little unclear. Like you said, he seems pretty asexual to me. Or you know, one can say maybe in a world where he could like sleep for 2 days, maybe he could figure out some sexuality. But right now, he he's one of those guys that you know. I remember talking to a doctor once, a doctor friend of mine, who said something that said there are people that are asexual, just they are no matter what, and there are people who are literally worked so hard that they do not have a sex drive, and those are two different things. And there's no way to know for Guy because he's never lived a time in his life where he's not. And like it's deeply, it's a interesting thing. It came to my mind during those scenes. It's like, my God, like he doesn't have time to like think about who he is or whatever. If he did, he's mostly thinking about theater. It's his thing he likes. He likes to scrawl little notes in the margins of. He's got his field manual for his work, but he loves to tell little stories and scrawl little notes and be like think about stuff. You know, like we said, he was a child in the theater. who worked there. They didn't even want the children in the theater to pay attention to the performances. They'd be like blinding them because they called it stealing art. Very interesting. And that's like, yeah, that's the dynamic that he has with them. And then during his day job, he's going after the most dangerous creatures, and they encounter this his dragon. Gailag and the dragon is this story that he grew up listening to, but he encounters this gigantic centipede that they'll come to call the Pterodopod. The Pterodopod stings him in the ear, and for the rest of his life, he will have like this weird relationship to his ear. His ear will make weird sounds. Sometimes it'll play music for him. Sometimes it'll fuck with him. Sometimes it'll just hurt. And the Pterodopod is a creature that is described thus, quote, when faced with mortality, it creates, end quote. Its venom, it doesn't just destroy things, it takes things and it changes them. Don't get me wrong, for the most part you're gonna die, but like it's gonna make you look really cool when you die. And they're chasing this thing down, and they confront it.
It kind of made me
the theater.
It made me think of like the creature from like Annihilation, kind of.
Sure. Yeah. That's a good comparison. They end up confronting it at a theater. You get a really gnarly scene where they're facing it, and there's this big moment, and all of that's going down. And then I think this is a good time to hop over to the other plot line, the Overcity. We will return to Guy and the Undercity. Folks, let's talk about the Overcity. Aisha read a quote from it at the beginning, this sort of show trial going on. That is where we are introduced to our upper class characters at this entertainment show trial of a would-be assassin. What are our thoughts on the Overcity and the characters that we meet there?
So we got Aster, who is a perfumer, like, because they have in the Overcity, basically they have like magic that is basically smell based. So
Smell
like
magic.
you can wear perfumes that cause people to see you in a certain way. Like you can wear a perfume that makes people think that you're taller, or you can wear a perfume that makes people calm. I'm sure there's like a perfume that makes your dick look bigger or whatever.
Mm-hmm. That's Axe body spray. Axe body spray will do that.
But it says actually on the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so Aster, we find, works for someone who's called the Marshal, who is like the decorated general of the Overcity, who like led the latest coup, because this city has a lot of coups constantly, and he's like a war hero who's constantly almost being assassinated. So she does his perfume basically, and that she's waiting for her friend Elspeth, is that her name? Who is like her Elspeth, who she grew up with, who is like a famous painter, who is engaged to the Chancellor, who's basically like the king of the city. And he's obsessed with her because he's the gayest man alive, and just wants he's obsessed with her because she's such a good painter, and he wants her to paint like an incredible portrait of him. And she's like, literally, I'm only gonna do it if he marries me, so I never have to work again in my life. We love Elspeth, girls and boys.
Elspeth's just another character to me that subverts what you would expect, because she comes across early on as this like kind of definite airhead, almost like intolerably so, and then you peel back the layers on her and see how much of that is just her masking for survival, and that she's probably one of the smartest characters in the book, and she's such a badass. And again, like I keep harping on the audio, but the audiobook performance of her is like this super up-talky, like grating, incredible voice that it somehow stays just shy of mocking. Like, you know that the intent of that narrator is not to mock this character or anything that she stands for. And I think it works so well because she's so layered and interesting. I think Aster almost suffers as a character alongside her because Elspeth is so fucking cool.
I was going to say that I think that Aster is probably the weakest character for me, just because she doesn't really, I feel like we don't get enough time with her. before we start learning about Mallory and Elspeth, who are way more interesting than she is, I also feel like I feel like that if there's any part of the book that I thought was a little bit weak was sort of the Aster's turn, where she like turns on the marshal. I felt like that was a little. It didn't completely work for me. It was fine. Again, opera, but like I feel like if I mean, it felt a little bit rushed, even though the book's already pretty long. So I mean, it was fine.
Sure.
I'm not like complaining about it or anything, but I agree with you, Maria. I think that Aster suffers as a character just because she's surrounded by such strong other characters.
Her turn was giving low that like the head is so good that you will take down a regime without.
That is true.
Literally.
And that's just like
that's a fair
maybe
point.
that's the intro to Mallory Vampisan, because you're like Mallory Vampisan is the kind of person that can give someone head and then they change their entire, perspective on
Worldview.
the world.
Yeah.
Aster and Elspeth, it should also be noted, were both child victims and orphans of the war, the coup that took over the city however many years ago. It seems like it's been a little while. It even notes like it's been a really long time since we've had a coup, like a successful one. That tends to happen like much more often, but this regime has been pretty cemented for not for a long time, within their lifetimes.
The
but
revivalist
the
regime.
revivalist regime. And Elspeth has, or I'm sorry, Aster has breathing problems, and Elspeth has problems with vision as a result of the childhood injuries that the two of them received. I should
Yeah.
also say I'm watching The Good Place, and I could for some reason got in my head of as Elspeth looking like Tahani from The Good Place, and it's been stuck in my head ever since. Yeah, she looks like Tahani, so, and talks exactly like her.
Listeners, you may notice that Lenore has been eaten by a giant bug. This may come as a shock to some of you, but if you don't hear Lenore, it's because currently she's fighting her way out from the bug. She may rejoin us if she escapes that bug.
That's extremely possible. But don't worry, Shiloh is completely fine. The bug left Shiloh unharmed. I know that's what you're
Yeah.
all worried about.
Yeah.
It's fine. You know who's not fine is the city of Tilliard. What were we saying
Yeah.
before?
We were talking about, we were literally, everything crashed because we were talking about Mallory.
Yeah, I was going to say we were
so
talking about
hot.
Mallory giving head, but
Yeah,
and just
yeah.
in general having like,
Yeah.
I think the notes say infinite swag. Like, it's hard to make a character. I think it's hard to make a character that likable within like a paragraph. But I was so fucking locked in the second Mallory showed up. I was like, what's going on with this guy?
Yeah.
He's so hot.
He's so
This
hot.
hot boy shows up.
They were like, everybody's perfumed, everybody, whatever. And they're like, a hot guy walks in and it's like, and the only smell is him. And I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck yeah.
Just his body. just like his body, which is like unheard of in this culture in the overcity, that you would not have something. And he's like, I don't need performance enhancers.
And he's like dressed like someone's grandpa.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I love that. Listeners of the pod will know I love a good grandpa. And then he's like Aster. He's like, oh, I see her coughing. Take this handkerchief. I embroidered it myself. It's like, come on.
Sewing is a masculine art in Tilliard, so young men
yes,
are taught
which
to
I
sew.
love.
Yeah.
And he says he's equally good with embroidery needle and with the blade. And I'm like, come on, this fucking rocks. I love this shit. And keen readers will notice too, in the very beginning of the book, the opening of the book, it describes a young man stepping off a boat, and it matches the description of Mallory. It is in fact Mallory. The guy who steps off the boat and was like, and says T-boy swag has entered the city. That's Mallory. He doesn't say that, but he basically does. That's Mallory. He's cool. He's going to be a problem for all the bad people very quickly. Now, Mallory also has a friend, Demetrius, who doesn't matter that much, but he's an actor. He's going to be around. At some one point, he's going to blow up. We'll get there. And Demetrius is doing cool shit. There's an actual death duel happening in this theatrical performance that's happening. Chaos breaks out at some point regarding poison, an attempt on the Chancellor's life. You might notice, there's a thing happening with the theater as well. In the Undercity, they're trying to fight this gigantic centipede that's breaking into the theater. This must be connected.
Right. So you're led to believe that this theatrical performance where Dimitri, who you're led to believe is like Mallory's in the audience watching like his boyfriend fence this ingenue who is famous and beats all of the boys that fight him. So they're like, oh no, Demetrius is gonna die.
He's the
And
best boy. He kills all
because
the other boys.
because they've chased the in the Undercity, they're chasing the dragon into the bottom of the theater. You're like, oh, okay, the theater performance is going to be interrupted by this giant monster. And the theater performance is interrupted, but not before Demetrius wins and kills this other guy. So he's the new ingenue.
He's the best, hottest boy that everybody wants to give flowers to.
And it's like kind of rancid. It's pretty clear that like if you're the new best boy, that rancid things are going to happen to you.
Yes.
Right, like Aster buys him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, okay. So you have to fight for your life on stage. Probably anybody can fuck you. I hope you're down. Yeah. Like there's there's like dehumanization happening at every level of this society in a way that unfortunately I found really hot. Maybe wasn't supposed to be the takeaway.
No, I'm with you.
No, it's pervert. It's the pervert shit.
Yeah.
Right, because the Marshal, Aster's boss, one of the Queenie serial killers, one of the Queenie mass murderers.
But the two Queenie, let me say really quickly, the two Queenie mass murderers. If this author wasn't queer, I would be offended. I'm like, you're calling us out, okay? But they are. They know ball, so it hurts because it's real. Go on, Aisha. I'm sorry.
So, Aster is at this performance because the Marshal is like, buy me whoever wins the duel. And it's implied that he is gonna fuck who's ever the new ingenue. He says, man, woman, it doesn't matter. So that's the implication, that he's looking for like, a sex worker, and he wants whoever wins this duel. Chaos breaks out, and Mallory helps Aster get out. And basically, Aster just like runs off with the hottest boy in town and is like, Mallory. Okay, fuck because she's like indentured to the Marshal. So like, she's basically his slave. She has to do everything he says, even though she's like a daughter to me. So she runs off, and then in the morning, she hangs out in him with his like half demolished house that is like just falling down. It's like melted.
You know how much Riz you have to have for that to work? Like, come back to my insane asylum.
Yeah. So, and then like we switch to the Undercity, and they defeat this dragon creature, and they beat it.
Curtipod.
And Dawn, Guy almost dies, but Dawn saves him, and there's like a famous photograph of like Dawn like carrying Guy out of the underground. It's very romantic. And you're like, oh yeah, these guys are definitely going to get together. It's going to be great.
It's going to be great. It's going to be healthy. And look, life is looking up. They got a cool new boss, a guy named Bertram. He's a cool boss. He's going to cut through red tape. He's going to give you he's going to give you pizza. Yeah, also Queenie. He's going to give you pizza parties. He's putting a ping pong table in the break room. That's Bertram. That's my impression of him. And he's buying up everybody.
Also, so everyone, and this is like every man that interacts with Guy is like a combination of like fatherly and trying to fuck him. It's like Guy is just like a daddy magnet.
He is, and he's like the one magnet that doesn't want anything out of it. Like he doesn't want it at all, which makes it so much hotter to me personally, but it's so good. And you have Dawn, which we didn't really like fully touch on, being so incandescently jealous of his sex work, kind of imagining and picturing that some kind of romantic hot thing is happening when reality is just like extermination to Guy. Like it's just a job.
It's money,
But Dawn wants to.
He's literally clocking in at the dick sucking factory, but Dawn is like wants it to be a thing. And the interesting thing with Guy is like, I would fuck Dawn if he wanted me to, but not because he wants to, just in kind of,
Right.
again, this is another part where it's like, it's not like, oh, I prefer women or anything. It feels very asexual in a very whatever, like, and not even a sex repulsed way, mostly just kind of like, I guess if he really wants it, but like he never pushes that far. He kind of touches on him sometimes. It's an interesting sort of burning slow thing going on. It's very interesting.
Yeah. Guy feels like he owes Dawn something, and he's
Right.
waiting for Dawn to push for it,
Yeah.
but he hasn't yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like dreading it. It's not waiting
Yeah.
like, ooh, I hope he'll
Right.
slide over in the bunk with me. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm dreading it, which again, it like subverts that slow burn. I was like, oh, there's an MM romance side of this book when I started it. And I was like, nope, no, it's better. It's better. I don't know what you would call this.
Yeah, and
but I'm deeply into
Dawn
it.
knows it too, because like Dawn like slides close to him because he's like, oh, he does like the, oh, you're shivering, and he gets close to him, and Guy is like dreading him, like trying to start something, and then Dawn is just like, calm down, and then he just like doesn't do anything, and it's very sweet, which makes what comes late later hurt worse. But right, so Tiro, the little sister, really wants to sign up to work for the extermination, but like Guy is like, he's like, I am not going to let her accrue any debt. I am not going to let her sign herself away. This is like his number one thing. Also, Tiro is exhibiting like extreme transgenderism. She's
transgender particles coming off of her. Yes.
Yeah. She cuts all her hair off. She runs around with a flock of other boys.
The period crash out, the like, I got my period full crash out, the like shaving her
learning
face.
to shave, getting Guy to teach her to shave, even though he's like, you're not going to have anything to shave. And she's like, I don't care.
She says not with that attitude.
Right. Also, she's not really that important to the plot, but I just want to shout out my girl 3, who was one of my favorite characters. She's the captain of, she's just like Captain 3. We never learn her like real name or any of her many names because everyone has a million names, but she's like very like, she's like really mean, but like you can tell she loves her boys so much, and she's so awesome. She maybe is my favorite character in the book.
She's
I
lovely.
loved her. I was going to say this is complimentary, but she's the most you grew up reading Trigun character to me. Like she's the most plucked right out of anime, and I mean that with absolute affection. I was like, I know what you are because I have the shared language of reading manga in my early 20s.
Yeah.
She's got like this wooden hand that she like repositions and stuff like that to keep fighting in combat. I like the part where it's like, yeah, she's got like a gold tooth and things like that. At one point it says
she sounds hot.
She writes a performance review of Guy where it's like, he's a piece of shit, whatever. He's so horrible. It almost I almost forget that he's the best man you've ever sent me or something like that. It describes her as kind of having a mustache and not giving a shit about it. Like, yeah, she rules. And then she gets domed because Bertram's, extermination company is ascending. And as we, said, this is no small extermination company. It's extermination company capable of killing monstrosities is basically a military, and sort of some of his rivals in the city get that. They try to cut him down to size. They fail spectacularly, though they kill some people, including 3. Dawn leads this counteroffensive. At one point, he loads the fingers of 3, the wooden fingers, into a gun and domes people with them, which is just so sick.
Right, because Dawn is a war hero.
Yes,
so
he's
a
badass.
war hero. Yeah, who was like, he survived when he wasn't supposed to survive. Like it was like him and like the king's son both almost died, and like there was a mix up in the surgery bay, and the surgeon, it's like so dramatic, and it's so complicated, and it doesn't have to be, but again, this is opera. So he's been declared legally dead, but he's alive, and he's like working for this extermination company. So he holds this line against like these battling extermination companies that are basically just like PMCs, like private military companies. And Bertram basically does a coup. He takes over the city with his extermination company, Queenie Boss takes over the city.
And the most
and
powerful tool at their disposal, aside from Dawn's own capacity, is this SD toxin that they've been taking out of these
right,
centipedes. They've been loading these things that transform everything that they hit. Sometimes they turn people to zombies. It'll describe like people's rib cages growing out of them into bone flowers. Whatever it is,
right,
you don't want to get hit with it. Sometimes it gives you superpowers. Not normally.
right.
Normally, it just fucks you up. It turns you into whatever. And and we start to realize, this is interesting. It's almost like this company is when the SD toxin hits something, it's almost like a revival of that thing. Destruction through revival. It's almost like,
Yeah.
surely not though. Eyebrow raise.
I do want to say, just like to uh just be obnoxious, that I guessed every twist in this book, but in a good way. Like, not in a way that it was predictable, but in that, like, I about halfway through I realized, which is like spoilers, the the Overcity and the Undercity plots are about 15 years apart. Or
Yes.
15 or 20 years apart. So, and I started being like, it's weird that the people in the Overcity plot are not talking about this giant bug dragon being on the loose. Like, they're just talking about this assassination plot. That's weird. And then when there's like the engagement party for Elspeth and the Chancellor sees Mallory and he says, "Wow, that boy has the closest shave I've ever seen." And I was like, transgender.
Oh.
And I was like, "Oh, it's Tiro. It's Tiro. It's Tiro." So,
I didn't.
yes.
I thought I was stroking out. I was like, I thought that I had no reading comprehension and it had been clear from the beginning that it was two different timelines. And I had this like
No.
crash out, like, why am I so
No.
dumb? And then I was like, no, this is actually a twist. But
Yeah, it's
it
tricking you.
definitely got, and I think there's something about audio too, that you're just surrendering to it instead
Yeah.
of maybe reading more critically. But so that was such a good reveal. I like had to take like 8 laps around my house, just like, what?
Yeah.
This is so good.
Yeah, I realized that the chapter Sins of Our Patrons, which is basically where you're supposed to find out, because I'm not as smart
Yeah.
as I should, but
Yeah.
it says it's
I felt
where it's
very smart.
where the marshal hears about someone he loves dies and goes, this is a lot like the day Tyro died. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And I'm going to
Right.
say this works so much better than Use of Weapons, like trying to do their weird time shit.
Yes.
Or like so many other books that try to do this. Twists are hard. They are not always necessary. A book does not have to be full of twists. Things can be straightforward and still be interesting. A twist is you need to really trust your own writing instinct, your own ability. You need to be good to pull something like this off, or else it's going to feel didactic and weird and annoying. This just sings. This works beautifully for me, and it makes sense. And it makes sense perfectly with the way the like plot structure, this idea of revival, this idea of it being like actors in a play coming back and shuffling around. It all works brilliantly. It says in the book over and over, the city turns and turns, and so does the plot.
It also very interesting. I think like the way that we're recounting the plot is kind of out of order because it really jumps back and forth like within chapters between the timelines.
Mhm.
So you get you know that the marshal is like this violent mass murderer who's like always having like innocent people killed before you see Dawn's turn.
Mhm.
Right.
Before you see, so basically in the past, in the Undercity plot, Tiro ends up, out of like, spite, because she's a little stinker because she's 12 or whatever, she signs up with the extermination company working with like the mad scientist on the XD toxin up with the worm. And when Guy finds out, he like flips out and tries to kill the dragon. Like, he tries to slay the dragon.
Mhm.
And doing so, like, destroys their source of XD toxin. Well, he doesn't fully destroy it, but it makes it a lot harder
It
to
messes it
extract,
up,
and he causes like millions of dollars of damage. And Dawn, and he like him and Tiro try to run, and Dawn catches him because Dawn is like fully bought in. And there's this really horrible scene. Do we want to read the scene between Guy and you put it in the outline?
I would really
the
like
scene.
to. I would really like to if we can. I think it works
Do you want
really
me and you to
well.
read it?
Sure. Do you want to be Guy and I could, or
Sure.
do you, or
Sure.
vice versa? I'll be Dawn, you be
Yeah, I can be
Guy.
Guy.
Because they're referring to, because they're kind of getting in an argument about like Dawn is finally being like, I know you were like you were doing like sex work or whatever. Like that's what
Yeah,
he
this
tells
is just
Guy.
like such a horrible scene that I wanted to read it.
And again, between these two guys, that Dawn has been relatively respectful of boundaries. Guy has had this kind of
Yes.
burning thing, and then you get this moment where in the
Dawn
middle of
has
all
been
this
very
violence.
Dawn has been like very heroic and like romantic almost.
Yes. And then
Is this
Dawn
before
says,
or after the scene with the like horny blood licking?
Oh, way
it's
after.
after.
Way after? Okay,
Yeah,
just
there's
a tiny sidebar. There is a scene in this book that is the most erotic thing I've ever read. I had to pull over. I was driving, and I just had to pull over because I was like, I'm going to crash my car. And it's not sexual overtly. It's just
Dawn
read
licking
it and
Guy's
get there.
blood off his fingers.
It's very
So good.
hot. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, don't
Okay.
be sorry. This is what this podcast is about. Here we go. Dawn says, I could smell him, you know.
What?
Every new moon, every time you came back down from the Overcity, both of us could smell him. His cologne, his sweat, his wife's cooking. You'd reek of him. You'd come home in the middle of the night and crawl into bed next to your kid sister. It wasn't right. Did you ever tell her? Tell her where you got her the money for her dresses?
Don't start this.
You spent years shoving her between us, using a child as a shield against me, and then you'd come home reeking of some stranger. She could tell. She wasn't stupid.
How is that worse? How is that worse than smelling pesticide, of sewage? He gestures to the window and the statuary burning to life outside. Of that!
That at least has a little dignity to it. That is so I don't have to see you sucking some pervert off in the confession booth. For years, Guylag, you were on your knees for him. And where'd that get you? Now look where I got you. You have no idea what I've done for you. What I've signed, all this, it's only the beginning.
I don't want...
You deserve more. More than sitting at the feet of your betters and begging for them to toss you their scraps. That won't work. It never worked. You'll never get what they have by groveling for it.
I don't want what they have.
Oh, sure. You want the countryside instead, don't you? You want an escape from all this. I escaped once. You have no fucking idea. It's only worse out there. I killed for them. I died for those bastards. I died so they could have blue. You know it, Guy. There's no way out. Even if you make it all the way to Plum Country, you'll be spraying aphids in their field rather than cockroaches in their basements. There's no way out but up. I won't lose you, Guy. You're the only family I have. I'm remaking this place for us. You and me and Tyro, and don't you fucking dare look away while I do it.
He just goes full, like, crazy slut shamer. Like...
It's so good.
Yeah. And then, they try to run, and Tiro ends up getting thrown in the river that kills you instantly.
I hate when that happens.
In Tiro's case, the river that transes your gender instantly.
Every now and then, it will trans your gender.
Yeah, it's full of XD toxin. So when he gets pulled out, he's now a boy. Or, I mean, like, they never tell us, like, what his body looks like or anything, but he just gets called boy. They're like, oh,
Right.
We pulled a boy out of the water, and he's now, his heart doesn't beat, but he's alive,
and he's got
like
strings in him.
Yeah, he's full of strings. He's a string zombie.
It's kind of the opposite of Pinocchio in that regard. He does have strings on him. I like those memes where it's like 50% chance of $1 billion, 50% chance to die instantly. That's kind of what happens with Tiro jumping in the water or getting thrown in the water. 50% chance to become a hot guy, 50% chance to die instantly. And that math works out. And now he's Mallory.
Yeah, because their real names, I think, are Mallory and Emery. Is that?
Yeah, because everyone has
we
30 names.
Their thumb names. Yeah.
Yeah, their thumb names.
I love kind of name magic, or like that one thing can be private in this world, and that is they call it a thumb name, and without explaining that, which I also love. But it's like you have this secret thing that no one else can know. And names are so interesting because we haven't really touched on it, but throughout the story, there's this reclusive opera writer, Olaf Afhaker, right? Like we don't really know who he is. We know that he's writing these genius operas. We know that the Chancellor has some sense of ownership over him. It took me till it was revealed to realize that that was Guy, even though there were so many reasons you should have known with
Right.
the ear and the music. And then the way that some of his operas are retelling traumatic shit from his own life and it's like a knight fighting a dragon way when it was just him being an exterminator.
Right.
Good
It's
shit.
fascinating
So,
because when Mallory gets back in the city as an adult, he can't find Guy, but it says he's not hard to see. Quote, not hard to see, but impossible to find. Evidence of him is everywhere. Ubiquitous, delocalized. Excerpts of his old lullabies pour from the radios. References to his stories appear in artworks and jokes. His favorite platitudes emerge from the lips of passerbys. He is fully absorbed in Tilliard, embedded in its wood, and Mallory has no means to extricate him. He has no status, no money, no clues to his location. He can't afford a ticket to the opera, much less to bribe his way to the reclusive librettist.
Right, because Dawn, after they tried to escape and Guy killed their source of venom, Dawn and the Chancellor Bertram have put Guy in prison, and the Chancellor forces him to write operas for him, basically. The music he hears in his head because of the venom sting, the sting on his ear, and Dawn has basically just put him in a cage, and we get and then I think that like Guy is like will fuck him in exchange for like nice stuff for his
Yeah, he
jail
gets love
cell.
bombed sometimes. Yeah, he'll show
Yeah,
up and be like, "Here's a boy to dance for you for a little bit. Don't you love that?" You know? And it's like, "No,
yeah.
Dawn, that's your thing that you like." But
And then sometimes he'll like have him whipped because he says something that annoys him or something.
yeah,
So yeah, he's become just like a complete monster.
it's a
yeah.
bad situation,
Which,
no doubt.
yeah,
Which now we're accelerating massively towards the Chancellor's wedding. The Chancellor and Elspeth are going to get married. Elspeth is, of course, as we've kind of come to learn, not actually very excited about this. As you may, just a reminder, Elspeth is this artist character, and the Chancellor decides this is going to be the wedding. What the wedding's going to be is actually this final battle between revivalism and extemporism, this upstart artistic movement that values sort of the here and now and things that are quick and fading and whatnot. Kind of this idea of, well, we can't have this eternal city. The city always falls. So instead of trying to have this eternal revival, what if we have these moments that we cling on to? And the Chancellor, being, the gayest thing you can do is to have a straight wedding that the man plans. That is, no offense to straight men who like to plan their own weddings, but that is the gayest thing you can do. And that's what he's doing here. He's like, Elspeth, don't worry. She's like, oh, I have a dress. He's like, no, you don't. Rip it off. It's hideous. You're gonna put on this, honey. It's fucking fantastic. I love it.
I love this. We kind of blew past it, but the scene where Aster goes over to Mallory's house to find Elspeth and Mallory are just trying on wedding dresses together and like painting each other in wedding dresses. Like
So good.
Mallory's in a wedding dress and Elspeth is also in a wedding dress and she's painting him.
And then Aster's like, I think I'm gonna fuck him, and it's true. It says,
Yeah.
what's the exact? Oh God, there's some line in there. I know it's not important, but like, there's some line where it says
Yeah.
where he asks her a question, and it says her mouth can't finish because the rest of her does.
Yeah. Yeah, literally he gives her the head that makes you change sides.
Yeah.
And she sure does. She
Yeah.
makes the powerful ass scent. That is what is going to sort of define this final thing. Guy has been put up in the booth. They're like, okay, we're gonna lure in Mallory. Uh, and then when he gets here, it's going to be the final victory of revivalism because he either is going to have punitive justice, we're going to execute him on the spot, on the stage, right before I kiss my bride, or he is going to like sort of swear allegiance to the revivalist empire and accompany his brother. That's the idea. And either way, it is this victory for their artistic and political system, which are one.
Right.
Not how it goes
But
down, though, so much.
Mallory, I love that it's like that their secret weapon and like the body that cannot be killed is like this trans body that has been like transformed through suffering. Um, like I think it's just like so evocative and like cool and there's like a lot of things in this that if this not was not written by a queer person, I might side eye it, but it's just like so explosive and like incredible when written by like, you know, a member of the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a disability angle too with both Aster and Elspeth have this like they each have sort of like a power to do the perfuming and to paint, but their bodies are fucked up from what happened to them as kids, but that's not like stopping them from, you know,
Yeah.
overturning a regime in the end.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like a big theatrical performance at the end.
Yeah, it's, I mean, right down to it, Mallory stabbing the Chancellor's guard with a champagne stem, and the Chancellor going, "Ooh, I take it the champagne wasn't to your taste." It's like, bro, you're about to die. Like, I can't hate him.
Bertram really, yeah, you can't hate Bertram. He's got too much swag.
And then Mallory's like, "Fuck you," and cuts out his tongue.
Yeah.
Rules.
Yeah,
And we have this moment.
Mallory's so hot. I was just gonna say. Sorry,
good.
that's all
Oh
I
my
was
God.
gonna say.
Literally, like, please, yes. Aster releases the first great work of extemporist art, a perfume stolen a perfume created out of Mallory's flesh worms, planted in the dead body of Demetrius, the friend, that fucking explodes. And it writes, quote, "Demetrius alights not with flame, but with violent undoing, a foul-smelling combustion that climbs up to the arches, the chandeliers, the statuary, blossoming from the marble." And then it says, this is from Elspeth's perspective, "The fume is perfection, synesthetic, uncapturable, uninterpretable, irreproducible, a beauty as fleeting as it is destructive. It is without doubt the first real masterpiece of extemporism." What do we make of this
Yeah.
artistic clash? It's like, okay, art, we get this thing like, oh, art isn't actually the revolution. Art can drive people. But like, this book is kind of like, okay, but what if it was though? You know,
Yeah.
that is kind of a question at the heart of this book.
Yeah.
And
I think it's really cool. Like I said, I mentioned this kind of a little bit earlier, but like the idea of like of yeah of a revolution that changes the physical world, and obviously revolutions do change the physical world because they destroy, but it's like this also creates, because the city is like so weird and has so much like surrealist stuff going on. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like these and I think also like this clash of like artistic styles being like the stand-in for different factions. I mean, I think that like art, like, well, I mean, like the rise of fascism was very associated with like the repression of art, right?
Mhm.
So like I think that art is a really big part of revolution, even though like writers like just like writers and artists like to say that, oh, you know, there's no art doesn't change the world, but I don't think that's always true. Like I do think there have been pieces of art that have changed the world.
Yeah.
It's only this one piece. What I find really interesting about this as somebody who makes art, it's everyone is making art under duress in this story up until that perfume that takes all the shit down. You don't really get a sense that Elspeth is finding joy in painting or painting what she would find joyful. Aster is not thinking to herself, I derive so much joy from perfuming. And Olaf is making art literally from prison, being forced to. And so you have all this art being made, but it's being judged and classified and named by the ruling class to
Right.
capitalize on it, essentially. And you don't have like this pure, violent, kind of unfettered art being made until it is the perfume that takes everything down. And that felt really deliberate to me, because I've never read a book about art or music that people were having a fucking terrible time making art and music the whole time, which
Yeah.
is really unusual. You don't really see that often. And the love for music was very present, while there was no joy in making it, or performing it, because you were probably going to get killed on stage.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, Elspeth has this idea about like when she at one point talks about like her own relationship to her paintings, that she just doesn't finish her paintings, and she says I don't want to be remembered. I don't want to rip off parts of myself and leave them behind. Picking off a little more every day and putting it up for display, like watching your own corpse rot. It's not worth it. It's too steep. It's too goddamn steep, the price of beauty nowadays. Well, it's so you have this. Well, the one more thing I wanted to say is, friend of the pod, Brett O'Shea from Rev Left Radio had a comment when I went on his show. We talked about different artistic movements. He said, and this was his perspective, and it's not one to one, but he said something along the lines of art doesn't change the objective conditions that lead to revolutionary movements or world changing movements. It does, however, change the subjective conditions, which are also important. He made that point. He said, just because you are in a place where objectively the world should change, human beings have a whole lot of inertia, and there's a whole lot of like ideology and a whole lot of like, I mean, you get into like Antonio Gramsci, right? And like the capture of the mind and hegemony and all that. And you also need human beings to subjectively make decisions in which they change, in which they do things. There is that agency, and that is what art is at the core of. And I think often when artists are like, well, I don't change the world, well, your book doesn't cast a vote or make a law or do a lawsuit or a set off a bomb or whatever, right? Like any number of things that change things. It does, however, change the subjective conditions if done correctly. Uh, and of course, in this also, the perfume can kill you. So I guess that changes objective conditions. So any perfumers out there, hit us up. Let us know if that's something that y'all know how to do. But that's not how books work, to my understanding. Or maybe I just haven't figured out how to write that good yet. Who can say? Regardless, the two duos escape. The first is Elspeth and Aster, who kind of run off hand in hand. They know they're going to be chased, but they say they wish to be like cockroaches beneath the notice of history.
Also, they're big lesbians.
They're definitely gonna, yeah. I liked Locus's review of this book says, while it doesn't say, it says something along the lines of, it doesn't say for sure whether Elspeth and Aster gets together, but something along the lines of it implies it. And honestly, it's none of our business. I think that's, but, and then
Aster's in love with her.
Oh yeah.
We know that. Yeah.
And Elspeth can't be straight. She's too cool.
No.
And then the second is Guy and Mallory, who the Marshall at the last moment we see Don, the Marshal, he has them in his sights and he's like, I'm not going to shoot them. I'm just not going to. Yeah. It's not really redemption, but it's a moment where he's like, I'm not going to shoot them. And you have...
I will also point out that probably the most romantic moments in this book are between the brothers.
Yes.
So that is another thing that, they don't, there's nothing sexual about it, but they are extremely romantically obsessed with each other.
Yeah, when you said the couples, I was just going right with that. I was like, right, the couples, Emery and Mallory, and then I was like, we might not all be on the same wavelength here, but
yeah.
And also for listeners, I know it's tough. Guy is also, sorry, I was going to say for the listeners, Guy is also Emery, is also Olaf Hawker, is also Hawk. So that's what we're saying. I'm sorry, Aisha, you were saying a good point.
I did say this book was giving Doctrine of Labyrinths. So
out of the Felix approved. And Felix in this world would kill it with all the perfumes and shit. He would have such a good time.
God, Felix would be such a fucking menace with perfume magic.
God, he does not need that. And then Guy and Mallory, Guy says, I'm so sad I didn't get to see you grow, but I am so glad I get to see you grown. And that's so simple, but I cried when he said that. And the brothers flee, and these final words of the book, do one of y'all want to read how the book kind of ends?
There's a lot you haven't told me, Em. He hesitates, unsure where to start. I'll tell you my half if you tell me yours. All right, so long as there aren't any songs. Emery laughs. He waits for his ear to flare with pain, with music, but all he hears is the soft breath of the wind. Fine, I've been thinking of moving on to prose anyway. He closes his eyes, helpless, to stop the shiver that runs through him. After so many years of imprisonment, with the valley and all its history confined to his head, then his cell, then a stage, he is struck with terror that the clouds will lift, and he will see a world too vast and too real to comprehend. He squeezes Mallory's hand, feeling weightless, unspooled, like a fiber flung from the spinning wheel. When he opens his eyes, the mist still lies heavy over the boat. He can't see the shores of the Catoptric. He can't see Teliard at all. But he knows, somewhere beyond his grasp, undying and unfathomable, the city turns and turns and turns.
And that's how it
Yeah,
ends.
I do. I another thing. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. I wanted to mention that the way that Tiro is able to grow up is because he ends up getting saved literally by um guy's John, like the
Yeah,
bishop,
the bishop.
like who his wife leaves him, but he is still like he's clearly like in love with maybe in love with Guy, or he just like really cared about him, and I liked that a lot. It's like
Yeah.
this. It was like a transactional relationship, but that didn't mean it wasn't a relationship, and it didn't mean they didn't care about each other. Um, and Guy like runs to him when he's like in trouble and stuff like that, and it's interesting to me that like yeah, this guy that hired Guy, the guy that hired Guy as like a prostitute, like is kinder and more understanding to him than like Dawn, who is like supposed to love him and who like keeps him in a prison cell. So I thought that was really interesting.
And he
And
returns, yeah, and he's able to be the reason that, that
Mallory can
it's
come back.
returned,
Yeah,
Mallory's returned to him. This whole thing is
yeah.
built on this web of these turning and turning and turning complicated relationships that are interlaced with sex and interlaced with art and interlaced with quid pro quo and weird employer relationships, and it's all very messy. It's impossibly messy, right down to the fucking killing of the bugs. The job is messy. It is all a mess, and yet at the end they come out of this on this boat, out on the kind of the cleanest place you can be, out on this water, standing there, and it's all around them, and they've got places to go. They're going to live, continue to live messy lives, but you do have this sort of moment of purity and of calm that is extremely effective and beautiful after this just cacophony that both the book has been, but also that this character of Guy slash Olaf slash Emery has been going through, literally his ear ringing with music and the screams of people in the cell and the violence he's faced. He has this moment of quiet, holding hands with his brother and moving on. Not they're who knows what comes next. Something comes next. Who knows what? But
I'm excited to
it
read
doesn't
this
matter.
new book.
Yes,
I'm so stoked.
and it's unclear whether
Yeah.
it's a sequel. It seems to be about a different thing, but it's definitely set in the same world, and I'm cool with it if it's a sequel, and I'm cool with it if it's another thing altogether. I'm gonna fucking read it regardless. I'm hype.
Hiron, come on the pod.
Yes,
Come
yes.
on the pod.
Talk about
Anytime.
anime. Come
Yeah,
talk to us about anime.
yeah,
Yeah, we'll have
yeah.
to anime episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, this is one of the top bangers I think that we've done. This was incredible. I don't think we really did it justice just because it's so complex and beautiful. Readers, go read this one, even if you now know the twists. It's really
yeah,
worth reading.
it's
Listen
Yeah.
to
yeah.
the
I mean,
audiobook.
I was gonna
I
say,
should.
I hate to keep plugging the audio, but one thing we didn't touch on is that twist. The voices of like Dawn and the Chancellor are distinct enough that you don't get that they're the same person, but once you know, you can catch little vocal ticks and tells, which I
That's
was just like,
incredible.
how the fuck did you do this? And Bertram
That's
has
awesome.
this really over the top kind of showman, carny, obnoxious voice, and you still see a little tiny bit of that in the Chancellor. And I thought that that was like unbelievable. And I would say people that have already read it still pick it up and listen to it because
Mm.
it almost reads like an audio drama, even though it's just one dude somehow doing all of this. It feels very immersive in that way.
Oh
That's
yeah,
awesome.
you're definitely selling me on it. That's for sure. Well, that's our episode. But our guest is a writer. Got some cool stuff. Maria, tell folks what you're up to, what they should check out about your work, anything that you want to plug. Now's the time.
Yeah, I would say pick up a Wild Radiance, even though it came out in January. If you haven't read it, it'll be new to you. It also has a lovely audiobook. It is YA, but I think that Aisha can attest that it's YA that fucks.
Yeah, yeah,
In
it's good.
fact, yeah,
I recommend.
yeah. When Alex Harrow, this is a humble brag, but when Alex C. Harrow sent me a blurb for it, author of The Everlasting, she sent me the real blurb, and then she replied to her own email, and she was like, "What I can't say on the front of your book is like, I miss when YA used to fuck like this." And I was like, if that was the one takeaway that I would want people to have, that's it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it rules. Everybody should read it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Also, we have a Patreon, so
Sure do.
go subscribe to that.
Go support us. We
we've
got cool shit over there.
Yeah, we got some cool stuff coming down the pipe as usual, but yeah, please support the show if you enjoy
When
it.
this comes
send it to
out,
your
we'll
friends.
have just released an episode, a video episode of me and Jen going over the 10-point plan, because we were answering your questions and someone asked us to, going over the 10-point plan of Tucker Carlson to quote unquote reform the Republican Party. Some really gnarly stuff in there, folks. But don't worry, we may make it fun. You know how me and Jen do. So we had a good time with that.
Yeah.
If you want to hear us, we just read something really great. If you want to hear us read something and talk about something really shitty, which I know you do, we do it on that episode. That's a Patreon exclusive. All kinds of other stuff. Aisha's author interviews, those are on the Patreon. Lenore every month running an article brain, reading articles that just genuinely drive us insane. All kinds of cool stuff over there. So go check us out, support us.
Yeah.
And thank you all for listening so much. As we close out here, I just wanted to say I know a lot of people in our, a lot of our listeners are artists of different kinds, different mediums. Haven't talked to any perfumists, but if you're a perfumist, sound off in the comments. Send us an email.
Yeah,
Love to
hit
hear
us
from
up.
you. But I think there is something to take away from this book. I think that it's too simple to just be like, well, art, that's just kind of a consumptive thing. And yes, asterisk, capitalism can subsume all critiques of itself. Certainly. I agree with that. And sometimes shit moves people. And it doesn't, and for your work to matter, it does not need to be the thing that brings down a movement. It does not need to be a thing that brings down the chancellor. Awesome if it does. Give it a shot. Give it your damnedest. But I think also if there's something that sustains people, that's important. And through this book, there's so many moments where art, music, theater sustain these various characters. Yes, they're the things that torture them, that are burning inside them, that they have to fucking write it down to get it out. But also it is a thing that keeps them alive. And that's important. Like, that's extremely important. And there's a reason that we do this podcast every week. We think this stuff is important and it matters. And so I know so many of you that matters to you, that matters to all of us on the show, because we all
Go
make
read
our own
some
art.
books.
Go read some fucking books.
Go read some books. Go read some gay fan fiction, as
Go read
Maria
some
just
gay
put
fan.
in the chat.
Oh, yeah. So I just wanted to say that. And I think this is a beautiful book that kind of demonstrates why in an interesting way. And again, if you're a perfumist that knows how to do this, I would love for you to sign a contract, and it will be way less exploitative than the one with the Marshall. I promise. You don't have to.
We'll only drill like one jewel into your wrist.
Right. You can go and fuck hot trans guys whenever you want, and you won't get fired for it. Promise.
Yeah.
Well, thank y'all. This is Workers Lit signing off. Peace.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Pages upon pages, words with the form of the worker's brow. Got my nose to the spine, nose soaking up all the rhythm of their will allow. The worker's tongue and story, now we wanna know every right we enjoy. Away from the lights, away from the noise, we can rebuild everything they destroy. Workers need a worker. on my mind.